Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. In this one we're going to go over the MLB for Tuesday, September 3rd. And yeah, let's get started with the Chicago White Sox versus the Baltimore Orioles. As you can see, the opening odds are on the screen, but we also always focus on the current odds, obviously, where they are, starting at plus 222 for Chicago and minus 270 for Baltimore. Those are the opening odds currently. Not far off, but it is plus 235 for Chicago and minus 290 for the Baltimore Orioles. Now, let's see, where is the money going in this one? 98%. The Orioles have been getting a huge amount of the money and the betting here lately in their games over the past really couple weeks or so, mainly in the 90th percentile, especially early in the odds. Late in the odds, they're still quite up there around 70, 78, 80% somewhere as game time approaches. But yeah, 98% of the money going in their direction on the ML, 94% on the run line. And yeah, where's the money going for this one? Now, I focus on the negative ones for the spreads, the run lines in baseball, because that's where the bookies make their money. It's minus 140 for the Orioles at that 90 percentile, 94 percentile. I would fade the public. I would go with the White Sox on the spread. Once again, these are my early picks, not my current picks. I would go with the White Sox on the run line, and I would take a risk here. I would go with the White Sox on the ML as well, just to take that risk and get that payday. You don't get a huge payday like this in baseball, plus 235, plus 260 on DraftKings. But yeah, I would take the risk. Take the risk. Orioles may win this game. More than likely will win this game, but I would take the risk here. Take the risk. You could bet low and earn high in this one. And I would go with the under at that minus 122. All right, Washington versus Miami. Plus 102 for Washington, minus 120 for Miami. Where are they currently? Plus 102, minus 120. Currently, minus 194 for Miami on the run line. That is super high in the game of baseball for a spread. Whereas the money going 87% going in Washington's favor at that plus 160. That's a lot of money to pay out for the bookies. More than likely will not happen. I'm going with now they have Miami as a underdog on Miami and Washington as an underdog on the run line, depending on the sports book you go with. So this is somewhat of a toss-up game, a pick'em game, somewhat. But Miami is distancing themselves on the odds at that minus 120 to plus 102. 63% going in their favor for Miami on the money line. Minus 120, plus 160. I would go with Washington across the board in this one. I would go with wait, hold on. I would go with Miami, excuse me. I would go with Miami across the board in this one. That minus 194 is too hard to ignore, and that plus 160 is a lot of money to pay out. The only way Washington gets this run line is if somewhere down the line here something's going to pay out. More than likely this Colorado Atlanta game or something. Something down the line is going to pay out over these next several games. That's the only way I would go with Washington on the run line and Washington on the ML. But I would go with Miami across the board. This is a pick 'em, so I wouldn't pick too much with the underdog on the run line, favorite on the money line. I would stick with the same pick across the board in this one, so I'd go with Miami. Over, under, let's see where the money's going with that one. Over is getting 82%. I would join the public. I would join the public at that over, at that minus 110 cost. All right, Minnesota versus Tampa Bay. Minus 102 to minus 116. Once again, this is another pick 'em. Minus 188 for Tampa Bay at that plus 1.5 on the run line. All right, minus 188. Let's see. on the run line for Tampa Bay. 36% going with that. 88% going with Tampa Bay on the ML. In this one, let's see. As it stands right here, I would go with Minnesota on the ML as it stands. Once again, these are my early picks. These are not my final picks. My final picks are on my Patreon. Link is in the description and in the video. But yeah, 88% going with the Rays. I'm going with Minnesota on the ML, but I'm going with Tampa Bay on the run line. They are an underdog on the run line. Wait, right here. Excuse me. They are an underdog at that minus 188 cost. So I would go with the fade the public on the run line as well as the ML in this one. Let's go with the Phillies and the Blue Jays. Once again, somewhat of another pick'em game, minus 106 to minus 110. But let's focus on this minus 176 cost on the run line for the underdog Blue Jays. All right, 21% going in their favor and 56% going in Toronto's favor on the ML. Let's see. With these pick'em games, they are the most dangerous to pick. Let's see. Totals. I would fade the public on the total. 76%. I would fade the public at that cost. Go with the under. I would go with Toronto. I'm going with Toronto. Let's see. 79%. They're going to have to pay out this. The only way I would go with the Phillies in this one. The only way I'd go with the Phillies is if this percentage approaches the 50s, the high 50s, which could happen when the Sharps go in, which could happen. That's the only way I would go with the Phillies across the board. As it stands, I'm going with Toronto across the board, as it stands. But yeah, Boston, the next one is Boston versus New York Mets. All right, minus 130 for the Mets, plus 110 for the Red Sox. Minus 194 cost on the run line for the underdog Red Sox. 11% going with the Red Sox in this one. 21% going with the Red Sox on the ML. They are massively underdogs even on the betting. 79% to 89% on the run line. 79% on the ML going with the Mets. I would actually join the public in this one. I would join the public on the ML for the Mets. As you can see, the cost just changed again. Went down for the Mets as we speak. Plus 158. I would join the public in this one. I would actually join the public in this one. Going with the Mets at home. They're not massive favorites either, but I would join the public in this one. That plus 110 is intriguing though. And Boston at that minus 194 cost. That is intriguing. Very intriguing. But these percentages are not going to stay this way. They're going to decrease when the Sharps go in, and they're going to bet Boston. That's the only reason why I'm going with the Mets at home. All right, Colorado versus Atlanta. Minus 375 for the home team. Massive favorites, like NFL type numbers. Plus 300 for the Rockies. Minus 152 cost for the favorite Braves in this one. Let's scroll down. All right, 97% to 99% in favor of Atlanta. And the over is getting 84%. All right. So, 375, that cost is very, very, very high. Minus 152, that cost is very, very, very high. That's a lot of money for these sports books. That is a lot of money for these sports books. But, let's see. 99%, 97%. I'm going with the Rockies in this. I'm taking the risk. I'm going to take that risk as it stands. Of course, it's not going to stay 97 to 99% for the ML to run line. It's not going to stay that way. But as it stands, I'm going with the Rockies. I'm going to take that risk. You don't need to bet high with this either. That's why I'm taking these risks. You don't need to bet high with these results. But yeah, I would take the risk and go with the Rockies. Atlanta more than likely will win the game across the board, but I'm taking the risk. Bet low to earn high in that one. You may more than likely will pay off with one of these games today. Pittsburgh versus Chicago, minus 126 to plus 108, minus 166 cost for the underdog. Cubs in this one. Let's see, 81% of the money going with the Cubs, 30% going with the Cubs on the run line, only 30% going with the Cubs. I'm joining the public on the ML. I'm actually going to join the public on the ML. And the odds just changed. So that's critical. It just changed to minus 130. It just changed to minus 130. Let's see. DraftKings has it minus 125. And that changed before I started the video. It went down. And the Pittsburgh Pirates went down on the cost, which means they're trying to get you to bet this. They're trying to get you, the cost is lowering, so they're trying to get you to bet this. I'm sticking with the Cubs at home on the ML. I'm sticking with the Cubs at home, 30% going with the Cubs on the run line. Let's see. I'm going with the Cubs, obviously, across the board. You got to go with the Cubs on the run line if you're going with them on the ML. And I'm going with the under at that minus 122 cost. Over the even plus 100. All right. St. Louis Cardinals versus the Milwaukee Brewers. Plus 130 to minus 154 for the Brewers. Excuse me. Plus 130 for the Cardinals. Minus 164 for the underdog Cardinals. 98% to 98%. That is super high. That will change, obviously, when the sharps go in. But in this game, I would go with join the public on the ML. Join the public here. Fade them on the run line. I'm going with St. Louis on the run line. Milwaukee on the ML. Over minus 105 cost. Over that. I'm going with the over at that minus 105 cost. Cleveland versus Kansas City. Pick'em game somewhat. Minus 116 to minus 102. And minus 164 cost for the underdog Royals in this one. 40% going with the Royals at that minus 164 cost. 8% going with the Royals on the ML. Only 8% going here. I'm going to go with, in this one, I'm going to go with Cleveland. I'm joining the public. This is going to decrease. This is going to be more probably towards 79%, 78% around the opening pitch, and 40% going with. I'm joining the public with the Royals at that 40 percentile on the run line at that minus 164 cost. All right, Yankees versus Rangers. Minus 130 to plus 110, plus 126 to minus 152. On the cost on the run line. Rangers are an underdog in this one. Plus 110 on the ML. Let's see where the money is going. 96% for the Yankees. 99% for the Yankees on the run line. Ooh. that's super dominant. Super dominant for a team that's on the road against a team that's somewhat trending now. Somewhat. But minus 152 cost is too much to ignore, considering. My bad, excuse me. Considering this minus 126 is a lot to pay out. But what's real dangerous is minus 130 to plus 110. The over is getting minus 122 cost in this one. 93%. I'm joining the public on the total going over. However, this minus 130 to plus 110 for the Rangers. Minus 152 cost for the Rangers here. Let's see. I'm going to plus 110. That's all. Those plus 110s hit in baseball quite often. I would go with the Yankees. I would go with the Yankees on the money line. Rangers on the Rangers on the no, I'm going with the Yankees on the Rangers on the run line. Excuse me, and the Yankees on the money line. More than likely, that would be my pick currently. But that plus 110 or those hit in baseball more so than not. But I'm sticking to it. Let's move on to the Dodgers and the Angels. All right, and that is it. Let me scroll back up. All right. Minus 180 cost. Well, minus 180 on the money line for Dodgers. Plus 152 for the Angels. Minus 125 for the on the run line cost for the Dodgers. Plus 104 for the Angels. Let's see where the money is going. All right. Let me scroll down. All right. 98% to 88%. And the over under is pretty much about even. 54 to 46. All right. Minus 180 here to plus 152. That minus 180 is very intriguing at that 98 cost. Only 2% going with the Angels in this one. The only way I'd go with the Angels in this one, what's the cost at on these other ones? Plus 152 on Bet Now, and plus 158 to plus 152 on FanDuel currently. Minus 180. Let's see. 98% to 88%. I'm going with the home team. I'm going with the Angels across the board in this one. I'm going with the Angels across the board in this one, and I'm going under. I'm going under. Another game which you could take advantage of. Dodgers more than likely will win this game, but I'm fading the public in this one. 98% is very high. LA versus LA. I'm going with the Angels in this one. All right, Seattle versus Oakland. Let's see where. Hold on. Arizona versus. Okay, they didn't put the odds for Arizona yet. All right, cool. All right, so we're just all right, cool. But I'll give my estimate on it anyway. I'll give my analysis on it anyway. All right, Seattle versus Oakland. Minus 148 for Seattle, plus 126 for Oakland. Minus 134 cost for the underdog Athletics on the run line. 96% going with Seattle of the money. Going with Seattle on the run line. 71% going with Oakland on the money line. That 71 is very high at that plus 126 cost. That's a lot of money to pay out. I'm going with the minus 148. They're near that minus 150 sweet spot. They probably will reach it, especially if Oakland gets any more, the cost goes higher for Oakland. At like let's say it approaches plus 130, plus 135. I'm definitely going with Seattle, especially considering they're getting 71% of the money right now, and they're near that minus 150. However, I'm going with Oakland as an underdog on the run line. I'm going with Oakland as an underdog on the run line, and I'm going with the over 7.5. All right, Arizona versus San Francisco, minus 120 to plus 102. Let's see where they started. Go down, go down, go down, go up. All right, minus 120 to plus 102, so it's still that way. All right, and there's no odds, no betting odds on it yet. No what do you call it, consensus data yet on it yet. Minus 178 cost for the Giants. Minus 120 for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Plus 102 for the Giants. That minus 176 cost is key in this one. That minus 120 hits quite often as well. Just like the plus 110s, the minus 120s hit quite often as well. I'm going with Arizona to win, and I'm going with San Francisco on the run line in this one, and I'm going with the under. I'm going with the under. But yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. And yeah, we'll be continuing doing what we're doing. getting into NFL soon as well. Getting into NFL soon as well, and we will have college this week as well. Posted on the Patreon, the picks, and yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. You guys take care.